What's the likelihood this is likely to get nuclear?
Oh, I actually think the probability is close to zero. All right. So let me explain why. First of all, there's an escalation ladder. Okay. You just can't nuke a country for no particular reason. You have to have an excuse. And so what the Iranians have been doing for the past few decades, and this is like really important and really strategic and really smart of the Iranians, is they've refused to ever give up the possibility of a nuclear weapon. All right. There's really just fatwa against nuclear weapons. And that's very intelligent because guess what? If you have one nuclear weapon, the Israelis will nuke you because they have the pretext to nuke you. Okay. So remember, there's an escalation ladder. You have to move up first before you can do it. And everyone's like, well, the Israelis are crazy. I understand they're crazy, but they have a military bureaucracy. And this military bureaucracy has a military doctrine, we call it exemption option, which says that if we Israel feels ever threatened, we will nuke the world. We won't nuke Iran. We will nuke the freaking world. Okay. So first of all, you want to maintain your nuclear arsenal to be able to have a credible threat. But also, like, this also means that the nukes have to be used for strategic purposes rather than tactical purposes. Okay, if that makes sense. But basically, you have to remember, like, militaries are bureaucracies, and they have a doctrine, and this doctrine determines how the bureaucracy operates. And they're not really flexible in this regard. The United States has a first strike option, but every other country has a deterrence option. Okay, so that's point number one. Point number two is that Russia is heavily invested in this war. It wants Iran to win. If Iran loses and collapses, Russia is in a lot of trouble, right? And this war, the way it's going, is benefiting Russia tremendously. Oil prices have shot up, and the Russians are laughing all the way to the bank. Sergei Lavrov have come out and said that they will support the Iranians any way they can. There's reporting from Washington Post that the Iranians are getting target intelligence from the Russians. And this is exactly what US and NATO did in Ukraine as well, right? So it's almost payback, right? So I think that as this thing progresses, Russia will slowly come in. And at one point, okay, Putin will offer Iran the nuclear umbrella, which means an attack, which means that a tactical nuclear weapon, if it's used against Iran, will be considered used against Russia. And Russia will respond accordingly to their military doctrine. So that's the second limitation. And the third limitation is people assume that the Israelis and Americans want to win this war. And according to eschatology, no, the purpose is to lose this war, right? So you would use nuclear weapons if you really want to win this war. But, like if you just want to force America out of the Middle East, you want to force America to retreat from the Middle East, and you want Israel to build the Greater Israel Project, then you don't need nuclear weapons. You don't need to win this war. You just have to drag this war out. Because, it's not, the Israelis aren't going to commit ground troops. That'd be insane. It's America that's going to commit ground troops. So what it's going to be a death match between the United States and Iran, and Israel's going to sit back and laugh their heads off, okay? I mean, like they might be attacked by the Iranians, but it's American military that's going to suffer the brunt of the damage. So from the Israeli perspective, there's actually no point in using nuclear weapons.
What's the likely role of a country like Pakistan with nuclear capability? Could they get unique about this?
Yeah. So remember, like what happened right before the war started is that Pakistan and Afghanistan went to war. Okay. And this is key because before we anticipated that Pakistan might be a wild card in this war, right? Because Pakistan is an ally to both Iran and Saudi Arabia. So during the 12-day war, Pakistan basically offered assistance to Iran. And then right afterwards, what happened, and this is key, is that Saudi Arabia and Pakistan signed a mutual defense pact, meaning that if Saudi Arabia were to be attacked, then Pakistan would have to come to its defense primarily with the nuclear deterrence option. But now that Pakistan is in war, it doesn't have to meet any of these obligations, right? So Pakistan is trying to remove itself from the equation. But we still know that America is conducting airstrikes from Pakistani airspace. And there's concern that the Americans will fund and support the Bullocks, this ethnic group. the Balakis in southeast Iran, and they've always had like ethnic conflicts with the Persians. Okay, but I think that Pakistan is smart enough to like stay away from this war.